to today's episode of Hawk Talk. Today I will be doing it myself, Ethan Garren. But today, since it is finals week, we will not be having any students on, but for this show we will have a bunch of the winter sports coaches and staff in the athletic department. Enjoy. Okay, now we are joined by Coach Harney. Coach, thank you for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So the first question, you guys had a tough loss on Wednesday to CNU, but you guys had a big win over the weekend against Frostburg, in which you came down from 20 points to win the game.
We did.
What was the mindset during that game against Frostburg?
A lot of praying.
A lot of praying.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of praying inside. No, it was, we come out and basketball's like all sports, it's highs and lows, and ultimately the team that wins is the team that is able to ride those out. The team that panics, is the one that loses generally. In that situation, we were down quite a bit, and we showed some real mental toughness to be able to kind of keep it together and slowly chip away at that lead that Frostburg built. And when the horn went off, we were up 2, so that was a good day.
Yeah. Awesome, great. At this point of the season, right now, your record is 2-6. But having said that, what are some things on the court that you like that are happening?
Well, we start a senior, a sophomore, a freshman, and a sophomore. So we're a pretty young team, and I think that when you have a young team, it's about constantly coaching them, because one thing young teams tend to be is inconsistent. And right now we're trying to learn how to handle situations, and I think Frostburg was a great example of that. We took some punches, and instead of laying on the ground, we got up and fought back. And I think some of the early games we kind of laid on the ground a little bit, and maybe felt bad about what happened. So I think I'm encouraged to see that the guys are starting to learn how to adapt. I've seen us come together. We've fought through these kind of low points, and that's something as a coach you really look for from the guys, is that it's not really what they're going to do when things are great. It's really what are they going to do when things are bad, and then how are they going to handle that, and then really what's the response going to be. So obviously coming off a win, I feel good about the win, and I feel good about how we reacted, and the fact that we fought back, I think, shows that maybe we are developing some character and some mental toughness going forward. So we'll just have to keep at it, and again, not look too far ahead and just kind of approach it one game at a time. It's kind of like coach speak, I guess, when I coaches say that. So.
Awesome. And my last question for you, this is your 12th year as head coach at St. Mary's. You've definitely seen a lot of players and a lot of teams as your time here. But what potential do you think this year's team has?
I think if you look at the schedule and you look at the games, we were in all the games for the most part. They were all very winnable games for us. So I think really this is about finding out who we are. I also think, for us, it's about playing well at the end, when we get toward getting in position to go to the playoffs, and then performing well in the playoffs, because there it's one and done. So we really want to play well late, not early. You want to play well all the time, but I think for us, being as young as we are, we want to grow to that point where we're playing well, and we handle the highs and lows pretty well. So I think that's really it, is that I'm excited about the progress we're making, and again, our goal right now is to make the playoffs and then perform well.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Coach, for coming on today, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thanks for having me.
All right, we are now joined by Jim Cranmer, the Assistant Athletic Director for Operations and Compliance, and recently promoted to Associate Athletic Director for Internal Operations. So Jim, congratulations on that promotion, and what does this promotion mean to you?
Well, thanks, Ethan. I appreciate it. Well, again, my base job is still the same, which is my primary functions are day-to-day game management of all varsity home athletic events, so meeting officials, greeting teams, setting up the field as needed, being there during the game if there's any problems, and NC2A compliance. So working with student athletes and the coaches on eligibility, following the rules of the NC2A, and then about a week here, a little over a week, going through grades, making sure everybody's still eligible. The new title and the promotion is a lot more to do with I'm going to be liaisoning with a lot more offices on campus. Like Chris Harney and I do a lot with admissions in terms of recruiting. And then I also work with Residence Life, for break. I'll work with development or institutional advancement on fundraising. We're doing a lot of stuff with the new stadium coming up. So it's going to be a lot more liaison stuff.
Awesome, great. And you've been in the athletic department at St. Mary's for about 17 years. What is it about St. Mary's that you've seen over your time here that you think makes St. Mary's great?
The students. You get such a wide variety of them. Like I said, I was a minor league athletic trainer for the Dodgers before I came here, and just the contrast in this. When I first got here, I was a head athletic trainer, so it's the contrast in the day-to-day student athletes you work with versus when I was working at the minor league professionals. The kids are a lot more appreciative, much more appreciative than what they did. And I think the misnomer is, it's Division III. You're not getting a scholarship. It's surprising how many kids will come here during an open house and just think, I'm going to show up. It's like club sports. Not realizing that, no, it's a student athlete, Division I, Division II, Division III. You're putting in the hours, but a Division III, because the kids love it.
Absolutely.
A lot more.
Awesome. What is your typical day as the assistant athletic director?
Depending if it's game day or not, but a lot of it is, if it's game day, just getting ready for what I need to do that day. A lot of times is, we'll have a management team meeting, like it's a Monday morning, reviewing the events for the week. Then I'll send out, in the mornings I'll call the bus company, confirm the buses for any travel we have that week. I'll send out a welcome letter with our visiting guide to any visiting teams coming that week. And then just depending on what the events are, just getting ready for the events for that week.
Awesome. All right, my last question for you is, if you had to point out one aspect about your job, what is the most enjoyable part of your job?
Day-to-day interaction with the kids. Seeing them compete and, win or lose, seeing the looks on their face as they're competing, knowing that they're just enjoying it.
Awesome. Great. All right, Jim, thank you for coming on today. Congratulations on your
Thanks,
promotion.
Ethan. Appreciate it.
All right, we are now joined by our athletic trainers, Jen Robertson and Jen Anderson, or as they are formerly known on campus, Jen and Jen. Thank you guys for coming on today.
Thanks.
So, Jen, you have been here for 6 years. Jen, you have been here for 4 years.
It's going to get confusing.
What have been your favorite parts about St. Mary's?
For the most part, just working with the athletes. I mean, it's a great culture down here. Getting to know the athletes one-on-one, I think, is a good environment for us. It's a small school setting, so it's great.
Awesome. What does a typical work day look like for you guys?
Well, it depends on the day. It depends on when there's practices, but most of the time we'll come in around 10 o'clock and we'll kind of pick up anybody that comes in for rehabs, anybody with walk-ins, anything like that. And then we'll typically shut down for like an hour, just for like lunch, and then at that point it's like go time for about 1 o'clock on. Typically most busy times are around 2:30 to 6:37, but there's nights where we're here until 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. It just really depends on what's going on in the practice sessions that are happening.
Gotcha. Why did you guys want to become athletic trainers?
Well, I'm kind of injury prone. I spent a lot of my high school time being injured, whether it was a concussion or ankle sprains or anything of that nature, but I never had an athletic trainer in high school.
Ever? Really?
No.
Yeah, I mean,
So, growing up and being injured and having schools in the same, division or whatever, they had athletic trainers, like, that's not fair. So then I did some research and realized I can still be in the sport athletic field, even if I'm not playing, but I can still watch them and rehabilitate them.
Awesome. What about you, Jen?
well, I actually never knew what an athletic trainer was.
Really?
Yeah, we didn't same thing. I didn't know what an athletic trainer was in high school. We didn't have one. And then in college, I played at a JUCO, and I was playing basketball and softball, and I had a pretty devastating ankle injury. And at that point, I was working with an athletic trainer one-on-one, and he was a funny guy. He had jokes every day, and I was like, and at that point, I was thinking about I was going into physical therapy, and all of this new world just kind of opened up about physical therapy aspect, but more acute stuff, working specifically with athletes. And I think that's what I enjoy most, is the fact that you have that, the little bit more higher demands as far as athletes versus, say like older people or, along those lines. So it's a different mentality that you'd be working with. I was like, this is fantastic. So that's how I kind of got involved with it.
Awesome. Which season would you say is the busiest season for you?
Any type of crossover season. Especially like the fall to winter when we still have the spring sports playing their fall balls. That's pretty crazy. And then same scenario with the spring, with having the winter sports and the spring sports, and then the fall sports doing their spring play days and everything.
Awesome. And my last question for both of you is, which team is the most injury prone?
Well, it depends on which teams are playing intramurals. That seems to be our that big go-to as far as intramural injuries. But I mean, it depends. It really depends on the year. It depends on who comes in shape. It depends on, just luck too. What happens that year?
All right, awesome. That's all the questions I have for you guys. Thank you guys for coming
All
on
right,
today.
great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We're now joined by the women's head basketball coach, Coach Calhoun. Thank you for coming on today.
Thanks so much.
First question, you're almost 2 months into the season. Could you give us a recap on the season so far?
Well, we've had some huge milestones. One of our players, Carrie Klein, she hit her 1,000 points.
Right.
So she made that milestone. And then we just recently, this past weekend, we had another player that had a milestone, and that was Kobe Cheney. She has over 500 rebounds and 100 blocks.
Amazing.
It is amazing, and only a junior.
Wow.
So it's really exciting that two players, have accomplished these milestones, and just add them to the record books.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
but a recap of the season, we've been in it for almost 2 months now, trying to gel, trying to get together, and we had a huge game winner bucket, against Washington College
right.
here for the tournament, and just really gave us, we got to play every second. Every second, we got to play every possession. We went on the road, we got a W against Mary Baldwin, and that was really helpful. It's always helpful to get a road win.
Right.
We played some really tough conference opponents within the past 2 weeks, and we're getting better, but we have to make sure we're playing, a complete game,
Right.
and that's 40 minutes.
Gotcha. All right. Excellent. Second question, how would you define your coaching style?
I would say I'm a teacher first. I want to make sure that we understand the game, understand what we're doing. I give a lot of freedom to the team on the offensive end, or I would believe, I would hope I believe I do that. And I want to make sure that we're all on the same page on the defensive side. But I want to make sure the players really enjoy what they're doing, because I think that's how you can really have success. When your players buy into it and they love what they're doing, it's a win-win situation.
Absolutely. And what are some of your favorite aspects of coaching the St. Mary's team?
I think the type of student athlete here at St. Mary's is somebody who really likes to be successful, whether it's in the classroom, on the court, or even giving back to the community. So I think that's a really big piece for us, and I'm just really lucky to be able to have this opportunity to coach them.
Great. And my last question for you is, what potential do you think this year's team has?
I think this is a team that you can't sleep on. I think this is a team that, we are going to work things out. We got a week right now during exam week. And, come conference play, it's, right around the corner, right when we come back from the holiday break. Right after New Year's, we go in, we play Southern Virginia, then we play Wesley. We're right back to it. So, I would say, everybody's got to prepare for us. And it's a different story when you come to our house,
Absolutely.
So we've only played 4 conference games, and I'm really excited to, get the whole schedule in.
Awesome, great. Coach, thank you for coming on today. Good luck
Thank
to
you
the
so
rest of the
much.
season. All right, and for our last guest of the show today, we have Coach Brent of the men's and women's swimming teams. Coach, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
Good. All right, so both the men and the women's teams are about 2 months into the season as of today. What are some positive aspects you've seen from the team so far?
We're working really hard. Got about 60% of the team that's doing absolutely everything. We got a lot of morning practices, double practices, spending time in the weight room, and we've had at least 4 or 5 people go personal best times already this season. So that's been a big positive.
Awesome, great.
Yeah.
And what improvements would you like to see from the team?
We got to get the rest of them in the same boat. No, I think we've been working a lot this fall on our underwaters, so just trying to be better off the walls and into our strokes. So we're going to continue that. We've made some progress there. Showed up in our Richmond meet, so we're going to continue working on that.
Awesome, great.
Yeah.
What have been your favorite moments this season while coaching the team?
I think anytime, and like I said, we've had this at least 4 or 5 different kids this year. Anytime that they're putting in hard work and then stepping up and being the best they've ever been, that's really rewarding.
Absolutely.
So just trying to teach them that hard work pays off. So when the message comes through, it's nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My last question for you is, what are some of the best aspects of being a coach at St. Mary's?
Yeah, the kids and their parents, we're just really lucky. We have a close-knit group. They're all dedicated students and just very supportive of each other and the team. So it makes for a rewarding work environment.
Awesome, great.
Yeah.
Coach, thank you for coming on today.
Hey, thank you.
Good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
And that concludes today's episode of Hawk Talk. We will not be back until next year, so happy holidays to everyone and have a happy new year.